Good afternoon, everyone. This is Sister Girl Radio on IntellectualRadio.com. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Talisha. I have my two guests here. We're going to let him say what he want to be called, but we're going to call it what we want to be called over here to the left of me. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
So, my name is Rick Lockhart here on Sister Girl Radio. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to this conversation today. We're here with some really good friends, all the way from elementary school, grammar school, whatever you want to call it, but we will be calling me Rick today.
I'm not calling you Rick, but go ahead to the right of me. Go ahead and introduce yourself. We haven't had her on in a while. Go ahead and say hi.
Hello. My name is Misha, and I am friends with Alicia.
We've
known each other since grade school.
Is that what we call it? Is it grade school? Grammar school, all of those.
So I haven't been on the show for a while. I missed it.
I haven't been on the show ever, and I'm really excited about this.
Yes.
I'm really excited about what's going on.
Okay, so we have to tell a little backstory. How old were we? Were you there when we were 5, Misha? Was he there?
I came in second grade. Y'all were there.
I was there first grade.
So you were there first grade.
Yeah, Miss Workers.
So like, we're not gonna say how many years that is. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
30. It's over 30. Okay, so here's a little backstory. Me and Misha. Now I was this height in grade school.
Look, you were not. You
were going to talk about this?
I was like 5, 7, 8, and I was taller than everybody in our class.
This is not the topic of the
I was taller than everybody in our class. We just have to tell y'all, we meant to bring Kenny some cinnamon buns and some soft batch cookies today.
Cinnamon rolls.
Cinnamon rolls.
Oh, cinnamon rolls.
The packaged one.
The little
with
one.
the little, like little pecans on it in the middle.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I remember
7th and 8th grade every day.
7th and 8th. That was like.
Right. No, it was at least a good.
I got them back in like 3rd, 4th grade.
Right. We stole Kenny's sweet stuff, sweet rolls and stuff like that every single day. So we was gonna bring him a couple boxes of it here. He knew to have it in his lunch.
When the show is over, I'm gonna go get him some soft because I was running late. So
hashtag CP time.
That's right.
Yeah. Misha's never late.
My mom will always pack like the boring lunch. Like we never had nothing fun, like cookies or Kool-Aid in the house. So when I met, Rick, can I please?
You gotta say Kenny. He'll be strong.
I was like, and he was so nice. He's like, you can have one of my cookies, and I was like, oh man. You like the cinnamon rolls more than me.
Shout out to my mom who's not even on Facebook, but like I said, I'm sure my aunts are gonna share this with her and show her this. Shout out to my mother for all the lunches she packed for me.
Thank you, Mom.
For all of us. Thank you. Well, I'm gonna pay your nephew, your son back. I'm going to go get him a bunch of cookies
every day.
7 years of cookies and cinnamon rolls.
And he knew better. Every day he'd be like, don't take my lunch. And every day me and Misha would be like, who's gonna take the lunch?
Look right there. That look right there.
Like,
hold on, but listen, for the few people that are following me on Facebook, let me just make sure I put this out there since y'all might be following and I'm live streaming this. Kenny is the government name that you will not call me. Just so that you're aware, it's reserved for bill collectors and the police or people who knew me pre-8th grade, like 8th grade back.
Right.
You call me that. Other than that, I can't believe that y'all did put that on
Yes,
blast.
we have to put you on blast because I refuse to call. Me and Misha agree. We refuse to call you Ricky. We have not.
I was like,
who is Ricky?
I remember Talisha hit me up like
college.
Right, exactly. It was Rick. Talisha hits me up and we're in college because I was in Arizona. She's like, oh, did you add Kenny? I was like, I don't. She was like, it's Ricky. It's under Rick. I was like, who is this person? I don't know Rick.
He didn't want to be Kenny anymore. He wanted to be Rick.
Listen, that stopped after 18. Anyway.
Well, you will always be Kenny. But let's get into this topic today.
Let's talk about it.
Okay, so today's topic is Down Low 2017. So, Kenny, we're going to shoot it over to you. I want you to tell a little bit backstory and talk about your personal story and share it with us, and we can piggyback off of that.
Sure. You know what? First of all, like I said, I'm really grateful to be on your show. Thank you for having me, and I'm glad that you're bringing this to the attention in the forefront, and having this discussion on your show, like you said, and we had this conversation before. 2017, man, the down low thing is just, we're past that, and I really want to get into this discussion and be able to really kind of share the opportunities that we should be able to have as in the Black community. I think that, you know, in 2017, it's just there's no room for it anymore, right? There's time for us to have an open conversation about sexuality is fluid, but yet and still there should be some comfort level in relationships to be able to bring experiences in the past. So again, I know that we talked about that we can't cuss on the show, but this is an adult conversation. So if you happen to be under a certain age, you might not want to tune into this. And you know what? Real talk. I don't think that the millennials really can have this conversation because they grew up in a different generation.
Absolutely.
Right. They grew up in a generation where it's open, right? There's things vague, right? Exactly. Whereas our generation and up needs to have this conversation, you know, and unfortunately the DL community, I say y'all, but you know, you're putting women's lives at risk. Now, I have 3 sisters. I was raised by my mother. I have aunts. I have, you know, a grandmother, female dog, whatever. You know, I had all kind of female influences in my life. So I'm glad to be able to bring this to the forefront for ladies to be able to understand how to navigate through this situation. You know what I mean? And protect yourselves. You know what I mean? Because it's impacting, and unfortunately has the biggest impact to our sisters, to our Black women. You know, I've been in my sexuality. I've gone through, you know, dating both men and women, and you know, whatever. But I think that for me, you know, the comfortability of my sexuality and you know, being out and whatnot, I think that that's a conversation that Black men should be comfortable to have. Right. And unfortunately, that's not the environment. That's not the situation. And I think that that's a conversation that we should be having. So.
This topic.
I absolutely think that we need to be having these conversations. Like you said, first and foremost for health, for right. safety, for, you know, integrity. But how can you have integrity in any type of relationship if you can't be honest with somebody? Exactly. And I have a question for you. It seems like with women, if women are sexually fluid, it's okay. For Black men, it seems like, but and is sexually fluid, it is not nearly as okay, particularly a Black man, because they won't say, no, he's bisexual or he's sexually fluid. They'll be like, no, he's gay. But if a woman is sexually fluid, a man will be like, yeah, like, get your friend. And it's okay if she's sexually fluid as long as you don't get left for a woman.
Yeah.
So
come on, like, call in 708-223-8953, because that's the same question I have. I'm right there with you.
I'm like, do you see that too?
Fortunate that, you know, and here's what I wanted to share too. I'm gonna let y'all in on a little secret, okay? Y'all can't tell nobody that I'm gonna let y'all in on this secret. Okay. But we're gonna talk about this secret, and if the brothers find out I gave this secret, I'm in trouble. But so Black women women in general actually hold the key to admit the whole DL community would be done for that.
I agree.
Black women 100% hold the key for that.
Like I told you on, me and Kenny had a sidebar conversation. I was like, Black women are hard to talk to. I mean, even about dinner, like, we hard to talk to. Like, you know, it can be a 45-minute presentation, Misha, about what we're going to cook for dinner. So if I was in a marriage and I was coming out to my wife, that would be a really deep, you know, conversation to have. But I want to interject one thing really quick before we go on that. I don't know why I have this opinion. Sometimes we just feel a certain way and don't know why.
I know where you're going. And bring that out, because a lot of people have that opinion.
I have to say
a lot of people have that opinion.
And you can tell me because you're more fluent in the community, but I don't believe men can be bisexual. I believe that a man can be bisexual. I believe once you cross that line, brother, voluntarily, you've crossed it. But I believe women can't. I don't know why, Kenny.
How is it anyway but voluntarily?
But it could be involuntary.
No, that's rape. That's nothing to do with
what I'm just saying.
That's rape.
I'm saying I don't believe.
But it happens.
I believe the man is gay, and that's just that. But for some reason, I believe that a woman. I don't know if it's the way we're made. I don't know, but I believe women can be bisexual, but I don't believe men can. And I know you've heard this a million times before.
Well, you know, that specific thing I have not heard actually.
Have you? I've heard that, but I can be attracted to men and women. So I believe that it's possible for a man to be bisexual. But I believe that there are some men who are outright gay who will not admit it because of stigma. Mm-hmm. And I believe the men who are like the truest, like on the DL, sometimes seem like they are hyper masculine, hyper misogynistic, because, you know, they're like, the guys who are the most quote unquote promiscuous with women, I think biggest culprits on the DL. That's just my humble opinion.
Well, so you brought up a very good point, Misha. And as I just recently returned to school to finish a degree in psychology and want to go into IO Psych actually for the master's. But my doctorate that I want to actually look into doing is a conversation discussion, and look into the hypermasculinization of Black men. And that's really the key there. That's it right there. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, Black women have that key to abolish the whole DL community. It's because, not just Black women, let's just put it out there, the whole community, we have our hangups, we have our stigmas, and unfortunately with men having any type of sexual encounter with another man at any point in his life is now, he's no longer a man. He's now, demasculated. He's not a man anymore. And unfortunately, that's why would you come out? Why would you have that conversation? And if there's no comfort in having a conversation with your partner, somebody that you're interested in, who's in the opposite sex, who's a part of the relationship is of the opposite sex, why would you come out and say, yo, I had this, experience once and it happened, it wasn't my thing? Black women already have pulled that man down to say he's not a man anymore. You're gay. You're not. We're not compatible anymore, right? It's like that episode of Insecure. I don't know if y'all watching Insecure. Shout out to Issa Rae and the whole Insecure team. Are y'all watching Insecure?
I've never seen Insecure.
Oh man, okay, so I can't really talk about the whole thing, but there was it in season 1. There was a gentleman who brought to the forefront that he had an experience with men, and unfortunately it wasn't for him. Well, the young lady who he was pursuing or interested in, she was like, yo, I can't get with that. You know what I mean? Now here's the thing. I understand that, because I have some of my sisters feel the same way. If you've had an experience with a man, you just can't get with that man. It's just that's a thing. That's a hang up. I get it. But by the same token, not allowing men to be comfortable enough to talk about it, that's the stage where we defeat the whole purpose of trying to get the DL community to light. Like,
right.
If you're not going to at least allow men to feel comfortable about talking about the situation,
at least have a conversation. It's not that you should have to be with anyone you're not comfortable with, but at least you don't have to shame someone for an experience, for a preference, or I don't even know the right terminology, but just to say, or exactly. or an attraction or a desire or whatever.
Yeah.
Just to have a conversation, to say, okay, without being like, ugh. And so discuss it, because a lot of times I see a lot of Black women, particularly in the church, are very comfortable, have friends, male friends, who are quote unquote feminine males or outright gay, and they're cool with that. But if it comes to having a conversation with their partner about something like that, it's, like, everything's not for everybody. You could be a smoker, and I'm not going to shame you for being a smoker, but I can't be with you because I can't be with a smoker.
There you go.
Some guys, but they don't want to be with a single mother.
Right.
Am I gonna be like, screw you? No, I'm gonna say, cool.
That's not your thing.
It's whatever.
Right.
But at least have the conversation. Be willing to let people share their experiences and who they are without shaming them. Because I think shame is whack.
Exactly. And you know what, ladies, real talk, sister girl radio sisters, be upfront about that conversation in the beginning. If you're catching feelings, you feel like you've been on a couple of dates, yo, I'm kind of feeling this dude, I'm thinking, this could go a little further. Have that conversation up front. Be able to have that conversation to say, yo, so I just want to know about your past. Now, in the same regard, if you're going to have that conversation, be prepared for the answer.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I asked the question.
Well, I asked the question, and I think there have been times I've asked it in a suspicious kind of defensive way. And you're not. But one time I asked the guy, I was like, are you sexually fluid? Because I just wanted to have. And he went radio silent on me. Radio silent. Like, he never, ever answered that question. I was like, okay. And so,
Radio
silent. I was like, hello? Like, trying to figure out, like, did you hear me? But he never, he never answered it. And
I don't know. Neither do I. But I think that I've gotten to a point in my life personally where I've had the support of friends, I've had the support of family, and in the end of the day, again, like I said, I have a lot of female influences in my life who for me, their lives matter. Their lives are important to me, and their protection. So I can't imagine being with, some young lady, excuse me, who has a brother or a father or a son or whatever, and allowing her to go through what potentially could be harmful to her life. That's not fair to her. That's not fair to the people around her. So if in the event we get to, having a discussion, to having that discussion, well, I won't, but, gentlemen, if you get to the point where, a lady's asking you that, you need to be upfront, and again, this is 2017. It goes both ways. Men, brothers, you can't be ashamed of having that conversation. It's unfortunate, the community and the stigma that might come from that, but you're being a coward if you don't. You're not being a man if you don't talk about it, if you don't bring it to the forefront and say, yo, I did, or not. But bring that to the forefront, be a man and upfront and be able to have the conversation. But ladies, in the same regard, make sure that you make it a comfortable conversation for that man. Don't demasculinize him.
Maybe.
Demasculate?
Emasculate.
Emasculate.
Well, look that up on Google.
Okay.
Google knows everything. So St. Dom's education just went way down the window.
They closed
but ladies,
down,
make sure that you allow that man to still, feel fascinated. We're not going to even get past this word. So somebody,
but I think,
let me know what this word
and
is.
So, but I think it speaks to the larger issue of shaming people.
You're right. Yes.
Because
emasculate.
Is that to take away masculinity or?
Yeah, to
take
deprive
away
a man of his role or identity. So it's emasculate.
Google, listen, Google knows everything.
Not D, it's emasculate.
Google knows everything.
But I think to myself, what does it mean to be a man or a woman from neck up? You know what I mean? What takes away your manhood if you're sexual? Only linked to your sexuality? Is your manhood more linked to your character, the fact that you are honest and you are confronting things regardless of the stigma or what people are going to think of you?
Right. That's a great question. Again, 708-223-8953. Somebody call in and let us know your thoughts, your opinions, because that is a great question. What is your manhood linked to? Maybe that's what this show should have been titled. What is your manhood
No, I
linked
like
to?
the download.
Of course.
But we do have a question on Facebook.
All right.
Yes.
Why do women continue to date a man when he does come out and he continues to date men?
Right.
I think some people are comfortable with that. I know people personally who have been like, I'm cool dating somebody who's bisexual. Boom.
Well, that goes back to what I said. I don't believe that.
Well, and so here's the thing.
But why do you feel that way?
Right.
And I told you I don't know.
That's your personal work to explore your own beliefs.
Before I said it, I told you I don't know why I feel like men cannot be bisexual, but I just don't feel like they can. I feel like once he tell me.
But are you? Once
he tell me him and Trevor,
But I can't. Wait, why it's got to be Trevor?
But here's my thing though, and this is the hard work that people have to do. Ask yourself questions until you get a satisfactory answer. But if you're okay, because that's the problem with a lot of people, particularly in our culture. Well, this is just the way it is. This is the way it's always been.
Right.
But okay, and if you're comfortable with that, then say, okay, I'm comfortable with holding this thought pattern. But just understand that's you and that's just how you operate. But if you want to continue to grow, then you got to be willing to ask yourself why you feel that way and keep working on it until you get to the root of the issue.
Right. Right. And so, but for the question, who was that?
His name was Terry Hope.
Terry. All right, Terry. So why do women continue to date a man when he does come out and he continues to date men? The thing about that question is, that's a conversation that you have with your partner. And if your partner is cool with you dating, wow. If your partner that you're talking to is cool, I don't know if this is you, but if a man comes out to his partner as a female and she's okay with him continuing to date another man, that's a conversation about dating. That's a conversation about
boundaries. That's an open relationship.
Right. That's exactly what it is. Right. That's a conversation about boundaries.
Because women be staying with women, women will stay with a man who be with other women. So
right.
That.
Well, sometimes.
So how would you feel if a man said, "I'm sorry"?
No, go ahead. No.
How would you feel if you were dating a guy and he said he was bisexual? Would that be a deal breaker for you?
I think it would be. I want somebody who is. I feel like I'm heterosexual, so I feel like I would want somebody who's heterosexual. They might feel differently, but that's just me. That's how I would prefer. But one thing is I'm not.
Shout out to the millennials, by the way.
I am in no. I'm not gonna be like, we might not be able to be in a romantic relationship, but I would be open to us still being friends.
Well, but that's different. Like if you're right, if you're heterosexual, you would want your partner to be heterosexual too, right? I mean,
that's what I would
makes
like.
sense to me,
right?
If I'm same gender, so in the medical community, we don't even call it like gay or straight anymore. It's same gender loving now. So if I'm same gender loving, just caught up on something.
I'm still saying don't try to flip mode it in here.
And then and like you said, when you talk about the millennials, we talk about like cisgender and
I just learned that terminology.
And then when people now I went to a gathering that was led by a younger woman, and it was like open and welcoming, and she asked like, well, what are your pronouns? I had never heard that in my life. I didn't even know. I was like, what are my pronouns?
Yeah, that's the community.
Oh, what you want to be called?
Like she, her.
Right.
Those, how do I want to refer? And I had never
pronouns.
But I had never had somebody ask me that before.
Oh yeah, because men get offended. Like I like my drag queen, so if they get offended if you call them a guy, like if you be like, hey, what's up, bro? They be like to be called him, she, her, all that stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean pronouns matter, but we are living in that generation. And
what is a
cisgender is you identify as the sexual assignment that you were born with. So I was born a man, I identify as a man. That's cisgender. You were born a woman, you identify as a woman. That's cisgender versus transgender. When that came up, when I was listening to The Read as a podcast. I don't know if y'all listen to it. Shout out to Kid Fury and Crystal for their podcast, The Read. I love it. Check it out. It's really nice. But if in the event you get a chance to check it out, they were talking about an issue that came up about something that came on the show and on the Breakfast Club and cisgender versus transgender, and I'd never heard the terminology, so I had to look it up. There are words that are now being, I don't even know how long this word has been in circulation, right? I don't know if it's always been there, we just never had to know about it, or if they just came up with this word. Like, I don't know. But cisgender, when I had to look it up, like, wow, so now we live in a society, we live in a day and age where these are the things that we have to be knowledgeable about, we have to be cognizant of, right? So when it comes to your sexual preference, those are conversations that need to be had in a relationship. If in the event you are going to be involved with somebody, you got to be able to have that conversation, and you got to be, and as Misha said, thank you for saying it, don't shame a person for their experiences that they've had. It's if you've had that experience, you've had that experience. We are adults. Things happen. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe you are interested. Maybe you need to bring that to the forefront so you can talk about it. But if a guy comes out to a woman and says, this is what happened, I'm feeling you, I really want to be with you, I gotta let you know this is something that happened. Maybe I sent pictures of something to another guy one time because I wanted to send it to him. Whatever. Those are things that may come up. You have to be comfortable with having that conversation and not shame the person for having it if you feel like you want to progress in that relationship. Bottom line, a relationship is between two people, and the boundaries that you set within that relationship are the boundaries that you set within that relationship. But if we continue to shame brothers for their experiences, their feelings, their emotions, then it's never going to end. It's not going to end.
Well, I have to say something to that. Of course I do. It doesn't matter if it's my show. I still have to say something like, you're saying don't shame the person. At the same time, you have to be prepared for a woman's reaction to a man telling me that him and Trevor. I'm sorry, shout out to all the Trevors out there.
Much love.
Much love to the Trevors out there. But look, you come home to me and over breakfast, you're telling me, last night me and Trevor were at the bathhouses. I mean, my first reaction is gonna be the first reaction.
Well, were they a man's country
I feel what you're saying. That's if you are. I feel like if you're in a relationship and some deception comes forward, whatever it's about, or if it's like, baby, I ain't been paying the mortgage, I'm gonna flip the table. Like, we finna be homeless? I'm like, or whatever it is. If you've been with somebody and they haven't been real with you, like a knee-jerk reaction. I get that. But I'm talking about in the beginning. Like, if you're getting to know somebody and they tell you something about them and just to kind of accept it. Because I think a lot of times, beginning, I think like when we meet people, we be making relationships in our head, like who they gonna be. And then when they tell us something otherwise, we be like, oh, you let me down. I've known you for a week. I didn't let you anywhere.
No, but bringing it back to the download thing, I'm talking about women that are, like he said, I'm talking about me and you are in a committed relationship, or me and you have taken vows that this is going to be me and you. Even if it was Tracy that you said, I'm going to flip the table. But when you say you have a whole different attraction to a man, which I can't compete with, or there's nothing we really can do, then that's going to be a whole different reaction. So it's not necessarily that I'm shaming you or whatever it is that you, and here's another thing that I told you, that all of a sudden, you know, you was at the gym and you was like, ooh, there goes, like, these feelings, you've had these feelings.
Yo, sometimes Thomas could come in and
hey, look at his show.
That bicep right there.
That's what I'm saying.
But all the teas.
But it is hard in the Black community for us to come out because of the reaction of the women. If we were a different type of, if we were a little bit more easier to talk to, and I'm a Black woman and I'm saying this, it would be different than the white community. Because even let's look in the industry. All these Black people that we can name right now, and Kenny, you had some lists of people I didn't know, but there's about 10 people we can name right now who we know are. Why don't they come out? Because of the shame the Black community would put on them. Absolutely. White people, Ellen DeGeneres came out, her career skyrocketed.
Yep.
It took off. She was on every gay magazine. Yep. They gave her a show. They gave her this. They gave her that. Queen Latifah come out with her girlfriend. She may never work again in Hollywood. Well, we know she's gay.
Do we? Yo, shout out Queen Latifah.
We love you, Queen Latifah. I love Queen, but I'm saying we know she's gay. We know Missy's gay. Like, let's name some people that we know are gay. Especially in the rap industry.
Here's the thing. I can't say that I know that, but you know, there's
the illusion.
But either way,
Shamar Moore. I mean, let's talk Shamar Moore too. Shamar Moore, baby. Shamar Moore. I'm sorry to break your heart.
Stop it. Cut it out. I don't know if he's so much.
Shamar Moore is.
Well, so hey, you ain't gonna give me the government right here. However,
I'm just saying it's because of the stigma in the Black community.
Yes, no,
but
you're right.
what I'm saying is it is killing.
Right. But what do you think, Misha? Where do you think that stigma?
Church. Well, all right. So
I think it comes from.
Let me say
church.
this. I had the fortunate in New Jersey and New York, and there was a gentleman that I started dating while I was out there, and that was the point in time where I had to come out to my family, because I'm like, yo, you're gonna see pictures of me and this dude. It's a relationship, you know what I mean? So just so y'all know, but a lot of my friends knew already. I think that when I was out there, what I got a chance to experience was the Black community was a little different. Well, maybe it's just New York in general, because I got over to New York too. Maybe it's New York in general, but out there, you know, it's not even a second look. It's not a head turn. It's not a scruffy face. It's I don't know why that's taking place.
Somebody's calling me.
Wait, who's that? So we can put them on blast. Why you calling during the show? You call it during the show.
She's calling me back. Keep
so cute. I know this is going on. So out there, the Black community, or the community in general, there was no side eye, you know. And when I moved back to Chicago, I'm gonna tell y'all something. It was really funny. I perceived this. I was out having lunch, I think, or something with some friends from work when I just moved back. We were in the Loop. I work in the Loop. We were having a conversation. They were talking about, if you pay attention to how people talk about the whole gay issue, they'll whisper it in Chicago, for example. So I was out with my friend, you know, he's gay. And but in New York, it's like, you know, hey, I was out with my friend, you know, he's gay, and his boyfriend were out. Normal tone.
No, I disagree with you. Chicago's pretty open with the LGBT community.
Well, what part of Chicago?
Right, exactly.
Like, do you mean downtown,
the
Gold Coast, opposed to Inglewood?
Was still segregated. Yo, real talk.
But up north, they have that whole little boys' town.
Didn't I just not say what part of Chicago?
Okay, I think up north is more acceptance of it than down south. When I talk to a lot of the drag queens and stuff like that, the ones that live down south, it's more still like.
Yo, but there's and here's the bad part about this. I want to bring this to. I ain't out nobody, but I'm gonna put this on.
Spilling all the tea.
I'm gonna put this tea out there because it needs to be known. Yo, Black community, Black gay community, LGBT community, step up. Step up, because we have a huge presence on the South Side. Huge presence on the South Side, but a lot of that presence is DL. But there are two, I believe, two Black LGBT clubs on the South Side. They're Black clubs. This is where, you know, the Black family goes to hang out. The Rainbow Children. Love y'all. Shout out to the Rainbow Children. But there are two on the South Side. But, you know, we don't step up because of the shame. We don't step up because, you know, we don't feel comfortable in our community. You ask where that comes from. In the Midwest, I think that Bible Belt migration that took place, when that great migration took place from the South to the North, we got a lot of the Bible Belt. And that Bible Belt, Mississippi, Louisiana, all that, they came up to Chicago and they held on to those unfortunate church views, religious views here in Chicago. My point of being on the East Coast, there was no side eye. There was no look. There was no, well, he said gay. Oh, my God. Like nobody really cared. And that could be because the East Coast from Florida on up went up to New York. You know what I mean? But us, we got the Bible Belt. And it's time out for that. Religion, religion shames a lot. And especially in our generation. Again, the millennials, shout out to y'all. Y'all ain't really got to deal with this. Y'all came out where it was just open everything. But for us coming up, we had to deal with the church, and you don't wear lipstick, you don't wear skirts, and these are the rules. And if you don't do these, you go to hell. Like all of that was what we grew up in. So it's unfortunate that shame is still embedded.
But here's my thing, whether I personally agree with it or not, or however I feel, what I don't like about church folks is we deny what we want to deny to fit our lifestyle.
Right.
So you are sleeping with John and you ain't married, but you gonna knock Trevor because he's gay. I'm not trying to say that if you don't agree with it or you agree with it, that is your choice. Just like some people don't agree with premarital sex, or they don't agree with stealing or murder or whatever. Right. But there's a long list, baby, and I'm gonna need you to check yours off first before you. What does the Bible say? Before you take the speck out of my eye, take the log out of your eye. But the church, the homosexual thing is like the biggest elephant in the room. Right. But it's like, wait a minute, what are you doing?
But
what do you do behind closed
with the pastor sleeping with the choir director and then all the tenors
and all the stuff like that? But I'm just saying, we concentrate. The Black church has put that homosexuality on this big pedestal, and it's like the big elephant in the room. Right. But what about the other things that the Bible says for us not to do? Exactly. The little things that we just ignore because you want to make it your lifestyle, and because it's not something you're doing, it's easy to point that out. Right. And that's what brings the shame back on Black men who are sitting at home with their wife and they don't really want to be with their wife, but they want to be with Trevor. And I'm just saying that's where it comes from.
And you made the point that like one day after 30 years of being like 1,000% heterosexual and be like, it starts somewhere and you feel it. But I think a lot of times, because we were all raised in church, a lot of times you fight things because I'm not supposed to feel this way. I'm not supposed, Lord, deliver me. Lord, deliver me. Like there are things that I have prayed for God to deliver me from. But like I remember when I first started liking boys, the whole thing about Black girls being fast. And I'm like, oh Lord, I don't want to be fast. I like men and I like sex, and damn it, I'm grown. And it takes a while to.
Should I get married? Reason I got married, I think in like second grade.
We got married, right? Yeah, we got married.
That's because you kept giving her your cinnamon roll.
That's whatever works. So,
listen. But no, I'm saying that. So a lot of times, because of that, because of how we were raised in that religious, form, that then so it's not that the feeling isn't there, but you're trying to make sense of it in light of this religious upbringing, because nobody wants to feel like they're going to hell. Right. Nobody wants to feel like they're against God, especially if you have like a spiritual core upbringing. Right. You don't want to feel that way. And so and then you come to a point, you're like, you know what, this is it. This is me.
The Black church is gonna actually maybe they hold the key too.
The churches?
The Black church, yeah.
But why do we make that the biggest thing in the room?
You're right, exactly.
Like you got these kids out here doing all kind of things. I mean, Chicago's like the #1 murder city in the world, but they don't bring that up on the pulpit that much. They don't bring murder up. They don't bring stealing up. No, homosexuality right now is the hottest topic. That is always mentioned, and because you're not participating in that particular sin, it's okay to keep
I mean, like, well, why don't we just like, okay, let's just focus on like the sin of like lying. Lying is a sin.
We all lie.
And if we stop lying ourselves, then we'd be a lot farther along. I think, particularly in this area.
Well,
I think that when you start dating somebody, because of course I'm not a shy person, but if you start dating somebody, say this to them. Have you and Trevor ever played? Have you and Trevor ever played hanky panky on the Tuesday night? What's up? Yes. Are you bisexual? Kenny, these are questions that needs to be had.
You're
because
right.
You can't get mad later on, and then you know how men like to play word games. Well, you didn't directly say that to me. You didn't inquire that information.
If he's intelligent enough.
Yeah.
He's got to be a Virgo.
But are you bisexual?
Are we still in Virgo season?
Yes, we are still in
Virgo
season.
bisexual? Do you like men? Have you had thoughts?
Well, but
could it change?
But there it is again. Like if in the event, and let me ask you, if we were dating and I say, yo, so let me let you know, so this one time
we're already dating. This is not the beginning.
we're at the beginning.
Okay, we're at the beginning. Okay.
Yeah,
I said,
2 days.
I want to, right, maybe 3. I want to be transparent. So there was this time in college, got really wasted. Me and Trevor decided that. Not decided, but we just kind of, fell into something, messed around a little bit, and it really wasn't for me. Whatever. What's your reaction? Honest reaction.
Friends.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be like, okay.
I'm gonna be like,
because I always say okay to everything, but I'm still thinking
while
about
she making her presentation in her head.
I'm thinking about like, okay.
Because I just, like I told you, I just feel like,
and that's okay.
And that's okay. I'm allowed to feel that way.
You're 100% allowed to feel.
But you don't gotta be like,
no, it's 2017. Y'all that
right.
and this and that, please.
Yo,
things y'all do in y'all bedroom.
I'm pretty sure there's a couple of comments that might come on. Because if he and you and Trevor, we ain't doing no. You know what I mean? That's
some women like it.
I mean, I had one woman tell me like she loves to watch gay porn, but she couldn't be with a gay man.
Gay porn is everything.
Sorry. But I'm just saying that's what she told me. She's like,
you gonna have Earl have a conniption.
Sorry. This is a dope conversation. There's a female friend that I have who enjoys gay porn too as well.
Yeah, and she's like, that's gross. She's like a man and a man, but she'll watch gay porn. I mean, like people's cognitive dissonance is amazing.
Come on, cognitive dissonance.
Yes. Well, Misha's a walking brain. Of course she's gonna say that. Misha, can you break that down in layman in roles from Golden Girl terms for the people that are watching, please?
It's just like where you like have this blatant, disconnect with reality, like your reality and what you like.
Okay. So I have to ask you a personal question, Kenny.
Well, before we get into that, real talk, real quick. I'm sorry, Wanda. Thank you for your comments. And you're right. Women they're allowed a reaction, and hopefully
thank
it is
you for
reasonable.
your comments. Oh, Christopher George.
Yeah,
What's
Chris
up,
George. Right. Terry still commented. Yo, we appreciate your comments, your
Thank
feedback.
You so much. You guys can still call in 708-223-8953. Okay, can I ask you a question?
Wait on this conversation. Go ahead.
Before we wrap it up. Okay, being a black man.
Are we there already?
We almost there.
I mean, it's going so fast.
You know how that goes.
That's because y'all went on time. Shade.
Ooh,
Hair flip.
Shade.
Anyway.
Ooh. Hashtag
what
shade.
About shaming? I mean, like I'm up here, no.
Right.
Exactly. We have to strain.
Sorry. All right. My bad. So.
Misha has children. She gets a pass. That's not fair.
That's true.
Actually, that's something I want to work on is being more timely.
Yeah.
Okay.
She has children.
That'll be on the next show.
Yeah. Okay.
We should do this more often.
So yes, this is fun. Black male, did you fit when you came out? Did you have any shame? Like, I know I'm black. Like the black man thing had to run through your head at one point.
I wanted to get to that. Thank you for bringing that up. I was fortunate in Sister Girl Radio, more like Brother Boy Radio today.
Whatever, Chris, it is Brother Boy Radio.
Hey, brothers need to get a little love too. You know what I mean?
I gotta bring the guys on.
I'm here representing the brothers for the sisters. But
That's right.
So I came out in different stages. So actually there was someone that I spent 8 years in a relationship with, and she was like one of the first people that I came out to. And she made it comfortable for me, but we ended up catching feelings for each other, and we spent bulk of our years together. And she taught me a lot. She taught me so much. Still my best friend to this day. And after coming out to her, there were people, in the church group that I was in, who knew that I came out to, who actually were fooling around too, because it was in church where you couldn't tell nobody, you know what I mean? So there was that. When I got to college, certain people knew.
So you were out before college.
Yeah.
So what age was it? Did you come out?
I started, I kind of opened that door a little slowly. Like, let me just take a step out and see. But I traveled. I would say by for a while for me. I enjoyed, sexuality is fluid. I enjoyed both for a while. There was certain interactions with a woman that just made me feel like a man. There was certain interactions with a man that made me feel like a man. So, and I enjoyed it the most. So for a long time it was. I went both ways. And
did you have those feelings when you were in grade school?
Did I have those feelings when I was in grade school? Yes.
I mean, because we was married and you didn't tell me.
And you didn't tell me. You did not come out to me.
Look, I'm married.
I thought we had a strong foundation.
I think I married Kendall.
You married Kendall too. I was pissed. I was so pissed.
Shout out to Kendall Artist.
What's up, Kendall?
Yo, y'all remember Aisha Baldwin?
Yes.
You married her too?
Yeah, I think
How many wives did
you have?
yo, this is what happened.
I was always a friend.
And then came out.
See, I'm more pissed that you was cheating, that you had multiple wives.
But there's the thing too. Women would be more upset that I had these wives.
Right.
But anyway, I'm sorry.
But I have a question too, particularly around this notion of the effeminization of the Black man.
Mm-hmm.
I know you've heard about that there is a mass conspiracy to effeminate Black men. And
I have heard about that, yes.
And I wonder what your thoughts on that are, because particularly a lot of times Black single mothers get like the whole thing that you're turning your son feminine. And so when I was heavily in the church, I was under so much shame and so much feeling like, am I doing something wrong to my, you know, am I doing something wrong just being a single mother?
Right.
Is that going to, quote unquote, make my sons, you know, not masculine?
Right.
Or, and you know,
so,
and I'm just like, and I'm wondering, and then they talk about it's in the food and everything like that, and then
no, come on, man.
I have these questions because as a single Black women are the bane of the Black community. Like we are what's wrong with everything.
So that's why, you know what, real talk, Lisa, I'm so glad you have this show to empower Black women, to make sure that Black women understand. Y'all are in just a huge part of the community, a staple in the community, you know. And
but we're the most downed in the community.
I know. Well, you know, to whom much is given, much is required.
Like a gay man would be, even a gay Black man would be more on the higher on the food chain than a Black woman. Because he's a man.
Because he's a man.
And I think too, like, and then there's the financial piece of that it seems like gay men sometimes do better financially because they don't have the weighing down of family.
I wish I had, you know, some of that finance, because my bank account.
Wait, Earl asked the question. I have to interject. Earl, yes, he had a girlfriend. Earl said, "Have you ever had vagina?"
Good night, y'all.
Okay, it's a dumb conversation. Just talking about that. It's yeah.
I love Earl.
Yes, and it's an amazing thing. It's
he said it, Earl. He said he's had both.
It's an amazing thing.
He had a question, bro. Man, put a question.
Okay.
You know what? I was talking to Wanda in the back, and I was like, Wanda, me and Misha were like, we want to talk about sex on the show, but I don't want Earl to have a heart attack. She was like, you could talk about it, just be intelligent about it.
Wanda said Shamar denies it all the time. I need to shout out.
Gay. We love you, Shamar.
Shout out to Shamar. Give me a holler. So to answer your question, Misha, here's the thing. I'm not going to sit up here and say, like, I was raised by my mother. You know, my father, you know, he had some impacts and some influences, you know, and there's with who really was there for the raising part of my years, right? So and I had both influences. It wasn't the fact that, you know, it was my mother and she, you know, that caused, you know, femininity or whatever. That's not the case at all. I don't think yes, there's a conspiracy that we're trying to what was the word you used?
Effeminization of the Black
effeminization.
boy.
Yes. So effeminization, I've heard the conspiracy. I don't necessarily think that is true. However, I think that we as a community still need to be cognizant of, this is something that, you know, sexuality, attractions, all that's something that you're either born with or something influences, or you just get to a point and you decide that, you know, this is how I feel, so this is what I want to pursue. Whatever it is, embracing that in your kids and encouraging them to be who they're going to be. You okay, boo-boo?
I got something in my eye. Go ahead, keep going. The show must go on.
Right. So, you know, I think that if you embrace that, if you allow them to be who they're going to be, it's totally okay. That's okay. And that it starts even there. Excuse me. It starts even there. You know, kids growing up, they're not. There was a post I saw about some cartoons, gay things going on in cartoons, and we're, you know, influencing our kids to go gay or whatever because of the cartoons that they're seeing. Back when I was growing up, you know, there wasn't these gay things happening. I said things, and something else almost came out. There was this gay thing taking place in the cartoons, but you saw heterosexuality, right? So, you know, there's still influence one way or the other. If we allow our kids to embrace them for whatever choices they make, for whoever they want to be, whatever lifestyle they want to live, making sure that we just empower them to know that it's okay and they have support.
But you got to come back, because you got to have him back, because I have questions like about transgender with children. Like, I don't know about children I'm very, very wary of children. And when I say child, I mean up until about 22, your brain is not completely developed. That is science.
Sure.
Before they've had life experiences to make such grave decisions or irreversible or impactful decisions.
Yo, and shout out to Earl for his question. Yes, I've tried both to know which one I prefer.
Do you consider yourself bisexual?
So here's the thing with
I only got 4 minutes. Wrap it up.
No, here's the thing. Like, can I have sex with a man or a woman? Yes. Am I turned on or aroused? Am I attracted to? Yes. The preference for me is men because that's just the preference that I think. Secondly, and it's not to say the preference is a choice, but there is preferences out there, and the preference for me between the two, the one that I'm more comfortable with, the one that I identify more with, is being with men because it's just the direction of my life that I'm in. Now, is it fair for me? And again, maybe this is my stigma that I need to explore a little bit. If I'm with a woman who's okay with that, can I be with a woman? But for me, I don't know if that exists. I don't know if there, other than, shout out to my girl Shauna for the conversations that we've always had growing up and the ability that she's always allowed me to express. If in the event I was with a woman who understood that and can, and brothers out there, find somebody like that, because the DL community has got to stop, because we're putting women at risk. We're putting women at such a high risk of
and Black women
issues.
Especially.
Black women specifically of health issues. And Black women, be cognizant of, have the discussion with your healthcare providers of preventative methods or protective methods, but have the conversation starting with somebody that you're interested in, that you want to pursue. And allow that man to be open and honest with him without shaming him.
Well, you guys are definitely going to have a round 2 of this. Both of you have to come back because we have much more to talk about. Hopefully, Kenny, you can bring a guest on with you out, or, someone in the community, so we can have another perspective on things. Plug your social media for everybody out there. If you want to plug your social media real quick.
I ain't got no social media. Facebook.
That's it?
Hit me up.
Okay.
Instagram, Snapchat, Rick Lowe too, whatever.
Okay, Misha, I know you do your yoga. Go ahead and plug your social media.
So yeah, I'm on Facebook at Misha in the Middle, and on Instagram at Fire Misha Love, FAHA MISHA LOVE. So if you want some yoga inspiration, health and wellness, social justice, check me out.
Come on,
and you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Sister Girl Entertainment. I thank you both for being here today. Up next, we have Wanda B with He Say, She Say, and I thank you both for being on the show.
Was that Wanda
B? Yeah, that's Wanda B.
Hey, Wanda.
You guys, thank you for coming today. I appreciate you both. And this is Sister Girl Radio on IntellectualRadio.com. Have a great, blessed week.
Later.
That was good. We have to. Yeah, that was good.